How are you doing today?
Excellent. Just getting back into the swing of things. I drove back from Dallas yesterday and then ran 2 appointments. I didn't get home until like 10:30 or 11. So as you can imagine, I'm pretty tired, but whatever.
I appreciate you sharing that, to be honest with you. And, we at Enhanced Foundation, we thrive off of transparency and truth. And the fact that, you say that you're tired. Like, this is a tiring career. This is very uncomfortable for the first year or two till you really condition your mind, your body into being a business owner. But I'm really excited for everyone to hear from you today, Cassandra, because not a lot of people, I don't think, know you on the team. They may have heard about you. I've known you for, over 2 years now. Truly blessed that we, came in contact at convention back in 2020 in Las Vegas. But real quick, if you could just spend 1 to 2 minutes about who you are, your background, and how long you've been with us, and what you're currently doing with Family First Life. Everyone would love to learn a little bit more about you.
Sure. So I have been with Family First Life for a little under 2 years. And the first part of it, I wasn't really producing. So I had the first year I did production for 7 months or so. Then the second year I had a full year of production, which was last year. And I hit Hall of Fame, which I did over 412 families helped. And you all know what that means with regards to production. And I have zero experience in the insurance industry. I just came in and I have always just wanted to work in whatever industry I was in. If I was a server, I wanted to be the best server. If I was a bartender, I wanted to be the best bartender I could be. If I was, a leasing consultant or whatever, marketing, I've done a lot of different types of jobs. I wanted to be the best that I could be. So I think that when I came over here and I could be the best that I could be, but get actually paid more for being the best that you can be, that was a pretty cool experience. And the hardest, most rewarding career that I've ever had the pleasure of being a part of.
Awesome. I think that you said something key, is you always wanted to be the best at what you did. And I think that competitor in you mixed with this opportunity, that's why it's been the best thing ever, because you determine your income. You determine the amount of time you put in. And just from knowing you in the short 2 years, I don't know many more women in Family First Life that work harder than you and are determined as you. But you shared with us that it's that competitor in you is why you work harder than most females at Family First Life. You shared why you're one of the top females in the whole entire company, because you wanted to be the best. And I think I was the same way, to be completely honest. Like, when I got started, I wanted to be at top of that leaderboard. I always wanted my name to be, I wanted everyone in Family First Life to know who Gage Peart was by my work ethic. And that's what's cool, is I think that everybody on this call has an opportunity to make their self known, to prove to everybody out there that their work ethic is up there with the top producers. Because at the end of the day, all the top producers have over you is work ethic. That's it. I promise you, Cassandra is great, but she just works harder than me. That's why she protects more families than me. And I think that's with all Hall of Fame producers. Like, there's nothing too special about them. They truthfully just work harder than you are. And that's the only difference between someone who writes 10,000 in a month compared to someone who writes 40,000 in a month. Like, that's the only difference, is the amount of time, effort, and determination that you put into this business. So, Cassandra, I think that it's super important. And we talked about this the other day. The reason you are so successful is because your organization skills. Like when you come into this business, like when you came into this business, it wasn't like, hey, Cassandra, you should do this, 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 and this to be organized, or you should have this application, you should do this. Like you figured it out on your own. So is that something that you've always had before you got here, or was Family First Life the opportunity that forced you into that organizational skill set?
Well, when I was younger, my room was a disaster. It's always super messy. My mom is from Panama. She's like very clean and very organized. You know, she'd always yell at me and I'd be like, no big deal, whatever, it's fine. And then I left home and then my room was never dirty. It was like always clean. So I think my mom was like always like, hey, like you need to be clean and organized and all this stuff. And it just kind of gets built up over time. You know, I was a trainer. Yes, she did. Mama did teach me very well, Ryan. So I think I was a trainer, and then I had to be organized with my schedule because I was working with multiple clientele, and I needed to be organized because I worked on their schedule. I worked off of their time. So that taught me organizational skills, and you just get better at it. Because if you don't, like you won't be successful. Like you look at people that are ultra successful and all it is a time thing. Like we all have the same amount of time a day, but someone that's producing 3,000, well, I don't know everybody's situation, but if you're doing this full time and you're only producing 5,000, or only helping 5 families a month, then you're on Instagram too much, or you're watching too much TV, and you get sucked into things that don't matter and that aren't really productive. Because to be honest, when you're new, if you're not in an appointment, you should be dialing the phone. And if you're not dialing the phone, then you should be door knocking. You should be literally doing everything in your power to be working and helping families.
You made a valid point. I think like when you're new, you're like, okay, I'm gonna dial for 3 hours, and then I'm gonna go take lunch, and then I'm gonna go take my mom to the grocery store, and then I'm gonna take my dog for a walk. Like understanding that your dial time needs to be protected for your success. I mean, I don't think me or you were ever confused that dial day was the most important days of the week, because a lot of people on this call, Cassandra, are blessed because they're not going out for 8, 10, 12 hours in the field on run days and making this thing really work. And I think that's where a lot of people don't really understand the trials and tribulations that we had to go through to be successful. Like we literally pushed our way to success. We literally worked our way to success. And I think that when people understand that the phone is your best friend and it's not the enemy, this business becomes a lot easier.
This is my money maker.
It makes you all the money.
This is my money. I mean, this is my money maker too. And this is my money maker too. But this is a money maker, okay? Like, yes. And everybody can use this to make money.
Literally. And I think like, before we dive into all the organizational stuff that you've set yourself up for success, like, can you just elaborate on what this business was? Like thinking back hindsight now, your first month or 2 or 3, what do you think were the biggest obstacles that you had to overcome? And what are a couple of things that you did as a new agent to ensure that you were going to be successful?
Well, we are always the problem. I think that realizing that early on, and it's hard when you're in the field and you come across a client and they were difficult and you blame it on them. It's their fault that they didn't get the coverage, but really it's our fault. So I think that that's the first thing that you have to understand, that all your problems are anywhere that you go. You are everywhere that you go. So if you're having a bunch of problems in multiple avenues of your life, what is the common denominator? And I think that I understood that early on, is that I was the common denominator. I would dial one day, one week I'd buy leads, the next week I wouldn't buy leads. And then I'd, dial for, 4 hours, and then I would get distracted and want to go do something else because I was a bad boss for myself and I wanted to go to the park and work out and I could do whatever I want. And the thing is when you're self-employed, your business owns you. And I want you all to realize that if you want to have success, your business owns you. It's not the other way around. You don't own that business. It owns you. But at least for the first year to 2 years, like, you have no flexibility. Like, you want to be ultra successful, like, ask yourself, like, what are you willing to give up? Because it's not what you're doing, it is what you're doing, and you need to take some of those pieces away. So for me, I love to eat bad food too. Like, I love chips and burgers and pizza, and like, I love all that stuff. And you see on my social media, Cass Carter, CARD as in dog, ER, shameless plug. Sorry guys. But on my Instagram, I'm always posting like hashtag fast food, and it's always like a salad or fruit or whatever. My point is that I don't keep bad stuff in my life because I am a human and I will partake in those bad things. So for me, giving yourself less options, that is when you start doing the right thing. So for me, I just give myself less options. Like, I don't have bad food in my house typically. I don't have a TV set up in my apartment because I don't want to watch TV. I like watching TV, but I don't want to because that's not productive. So just remove all the stuff that is hindering you from moving forward. So I think consistency, you can contact some of the lead vendors and see if you can get on a consistent basis where they just hit your card. That helped me. Also, removing all the factors that weren't going to lead me to have a productive dial day or productive run days. So that really helped me early on.
No, I think the biggest thing that I took away from what you just said is that you understood very early that it was you and not the client. Yeah. And I think that was a pivotal point for myself, is when I quit trying to say they didn't have enough money, that they couldn't qualify for it, or they didn't need it. Like, we literally bought a lead, we called the lead, they said we could come over. Now I'm at their house, and for some reason they're telling me no. Like, it's not them, it was me. And when I had that humility that I needed to figure out what I did wrong, not what the client did wrong or what the client said, it really helped me take many, many steps forward instead of going backwards and blaming it, pointing fingers, whatever the circumstance may be. Like, at the end of the day, this is on you. And they raise their hands and they ask for help. And if they don't get life insurance, that is on you. And you have to have that humility to understand that, and to be open-minded and vulnerable enough to say that I messed up, that I said something wrong. So what I personally did when I was in those situations, I did it specifically with mortgage protection, because I made this big mental barrier that mortgage protection was something so big and scary and so far-fetched for myself, that I would call somebody every single appointment I didn't sell, every single time. I wanted to find out the answer of what I did wrong, what I could have done better, so I can protect the next family that I seen. Because mortgage leads, brand new mortgage leads, are $70, $80. They're not cheap leads by any means. So I wasn't confused that I needed to get better fast. How you, as a new agent, can get better fast is figuring out what you did wrong after you gave a presentation, after you ran an appointment.
That's immediately.
And seeking that knowledge, seeking the knowledge of what I did wrong. That's what you have to remember. Okay, I didn't help out Miss Mary. What did I say wrong? What did I present wrong?
So yesterday I drove all the way back from Dallas, and I had 2 appointments and I didn't get to help anybody. And Trey Honeycutt had texted me earlier that day, and I hadn't got back to him yet. So I called him and I said, hey, Trey, and I don't talk to Trey very much, but he still took my call. I'm not even a part of his organization. That's a beautiful thing about Family First Life, is that you make those connections and they just help you because they want to help you. And I called him and I said, hey, Trey. He's like, what's going on? I said, are you with your family? He goes, yeah, I'm just with my son. We're watching YouTube, but I made him turn it off. What's up? And I said, okay, it's just sat in this home and, here's the situation. And they said they needed to think about it. And then I said, well, really, there's nothing to think about. We have to get you qualified. And then the wife said, well, we still want to think about it. And I said, okay, well, is it the price? Is that why you have to think about it? And she goes, it's the commitment. And I didn't really know how to handle that, because it's like, I'm not asking you to be in a relationship with me. Like, I'm asking you to get a policy. So if your husband can't work, like, you guys are going to be okay because I have living benefits. And Trey said, he gave me a comeback and it was so good. He said, okay, well, really, ma'am, it's not really a commitment because it's month to month. And really the insurance carrier is taking on the biggest commitment because they have to pay you $200,000 if your husband can't work, because if he's critically, chronically, or terminally ill. So really, there's no commitment here. You can just cancel it, if it doesn't really work for you guys. But if you do keep it and your husband does get in a horrible accident and he's disabled, then your family is going to be okay with $200,000. So let's see if we can get you qualified. And I was like, that's such gold. And I would have never thought about that myself.
Amen. And I really, really, really appreciate you sharing that, Cassandra, because there's two important things. Cassandra was a Hall of Fame producer last year, so she knows how to sell life insurance. Like, let's make that very clear. She sold more insurance than me. She's good. Second part is Trey Honeycutt texted her, and instead of just talking about whatever Trey had asked her about, she asked for help immediately after not making a sell. And that is so important, guys. I want you to understand, as you grow in this business, you need to continue to grow relationships with other people within Family First Life, because that was a pivotal point for my step forward in this business. Was I started reaching out to more people than just Jordan Lowry, because there's so many different angles of this business. There's so many different perspectives of this business that Cassandra just picked up a golden nugget from a guy she barely speaks to, integrity partner, that she could have easily not gotten advice from there, but kept the humility and understanding that she can get better. And she kept that coachability in her to ask for help. And that's why she's successful. I want you guys to understand that, is she's seeking knowledge and she's humble enough to ask for help. And she's created a relationship outside of FFL America, outside of Legacy Protectors, outside of Family First Life Fire, outside of Heroes. She found someone else that could give her advice. And I appreciate you sharing that, because it's been such a help for myself that I have 20, 30, 40 different people in my phone right now that aren't a part of our organization that I could call up right now and ask for help. Because that's what's cool about Family First Life, is everyone is willing to reach down and pick you up. If you put your hand out, they're willing to pick you up. But if you don't put your hand out, you're going to just sit down there and starve and die a slow death and not be here 30 to 60 days from now. But if you raise your hand and are vulnerable to coaching or vulnerable to getting better, someone will grab your hand and lift you up. That's what I want you guys to understand, is everyone is here to help you, but closed mouths don't get fed. If we don't see your hand raised, we don't understand that you are trying to get better. Because there's a lot of people in our organization that don't raise their hand, aren't getting the success that they want, and they wonder why. It's because you're not asking for it. You're not seeking to get better. You're not looking for knowledge to put into your tool belt, into your bag of words and word tracks that you can utilize when you run into that scenario. So I appreciate you sharing that, Cassandra. But I really want to get into like the nuts and bolts of things, what we were talking about a couple of days ago about your organizational skills. So like priority top, most important to least important, if you can just kind of elaborate on how you set your schedule up for success, how much planning do you do, and what are some applications or different outlets that you utilize to set your stuff out for success, so we can give the 53 agents that are on here some tangible things that they can add to their business today.
Sure. So I wake up pretty early every morning. Around 6. I've been trying to get up about 5, and I have been successful the past week, except for yesterday. Today I got up at 7, which was really late for me. Like 7 a.m. is late. I just want you guys to know that's late. You guys are waking up at 7, like that's not good.
You're an hour or two behind most of the rest of the entrepreneurs in the world.
Yeah, some people get up at 4, like a little much for me. 5's good. 6 is okay. 7's too late. But I wake up early and I do all the stuff for myself, because that's when business is not operating. So here's a key tip. If business is being done and you're doing personal activities during business hours, you're losing money. So I want to work out. I want to, make myself a lemon water. I want to have my coffee, all that stuff before business starts. And I have it time blocked on my calendar. So if it's not on my calendar, it's probably not going to happen. If you guys aren't keeping a Google Calendar, you are not going to get anything done. You're just not.
You're not a business owner.
You're not a business owner. It's great to have something on paper, like a paper calendar, but you're not going to take that paper calendar everywhere you go. Where is this? This is in your pocket or in your purse, everywhere that you go. So having a Google Calendar has really helped me to organize myself. So, 5:30, 6 a.m., I have an hour time blocked for workout, 15-minute time block for shower, 15-minute time block for smoothie, whatever, coffee. And I have reoccurring time blocks in my Google Calendar. So what that means is that these are reoccurring things in my business that need to get done, and I have it blocked off of my calendar so I have time to do those things. So what's a big thing that we would need to time block? What do you think that is, Gage? Yeah, dialing. So I have it time blocked in my calendar, and I don't know if you all will be able to see my Google Calendar if I show it to you on my iPad, but I can show you. So this is what my Google Calendar looks like.
That's what a successful business owner schedule looks like.
And that's not even that crazy right now. Like when I was running for Hall of Fame, there was no space, literally no space. So everything is time blocked. Phone calls, interviews, appointments, door knocks. I time block door knocks. So I'll just take you through a typical week for me, and then I'll tell you all the apps I'm using and everything else. So I have an iPad, and it's what I use to do my appointments. It's what I use for everything. Everything's on there. So on Monday mornings, I wake up, time blocked everything. Then I start dialing, and then I have a time block for the manager call. Now my leads are organized before my dial day, because if your leads are not organized during your dial day, I live in Houston, Texas, and it's so huge that sometimes I'm inefficient. Like if I'm going from north to south, and it might take me an hour and a half to get to my appointment. But if you download your leads and you understand where they are geographically before your dial days, then you can try to organize yourself on your run days. So I use Google Calendar for my calendar. For my leads, I'll go into the CRM and I'll download the lead card. And I have an application on my iPad. It's called Documents. And that's what I utilize to save all my leads. Now, in my documents, when I'm in there, I don't know where you all are located, but you can have a north folder, a south folder, a west folder, and an east folder. So in those folders, I'll have the month and the year. So let's just talk about my north folder. So I'll be running I'll have all my leads that have come from the north of Houston. I'll have them in that folder for April, March, February, and January. So they're in that folder and I know where they are. So if I'm in the field and I don't have internet, I can still go into that document and I can see. So I can see where I am. And if I'm close to an appointment or a lead, then I can go door knock them, for example. So I have all those folders. And then when I help someone or I door knock them and they tell me to get lost, then I move that lead from whatever folder to the resolved folder. And just because they didn't want to buy from you doesn't mean that they won't want to buy from somebody else. So if you have agents that need some leads, just give them those leads. You've already worked them, like you're not going to be able to help them, so just give them the lead. Maybe they'll buy from them. Maybe they didn't like you, whatever. So that's how I structure all my lead flow. And then I also have a folder where I am downloading my leads that are appointments. So for example, everyone knows that in FFL, Thursday is like our Monday. It's like go time for us. Like if you're not working the weekends, what are you doing? People are home, they're in a good mood, they're usually not working and they're home. So it's a great time to work. So Thursdays are our Mondays. So I'll have a run week folder. And for example, this week is going to be run week from the 15th through the 20th. And I'll have that in my documents folder, and I'll have all the lead cards saved to that folder. Also, any door knocks that I want to hit out that weekend, and I'll put them in that folder too. So I have all my leads in this folder on my iPad, and I don't print anything out anymore because I was driving myself crazy with all these papers everywhere. It was horrible. So I stopped doing that. Stop doing that to yourselves, guys. Like, download this app. It's super easy. And then from there, what else did I do? Just ran my appointments. Oh, so when I'm in the appointment, I have the Google Calendar. So I have all the client's information before I go into the appointment. When I am booking the appointment, I'm writing down anything that I remember. What was the app? So the app is called Documents. It's not Google Docs. The app is called Documents. And anyway, so when I book an appointment, I write something down about the client. Like if I was going to book Gage, I'd be like, Gage sounded kind of goofy on the phone. He laughed a lot, was in good mood. He has a girlfriend. They're also entrepreneurs. They have their own business. And then, write something down about them, or he was grouchy or whatever. Like, write something down to remember. Also, when I have the appointment, I'm also writing in my Google Calendar what happened in the appointment. So, yes, understanding your interaction with the lead is big, guys, because these aren't just leads. These are people. These are people that we're trying to help and, make them a person, not a lead. You do well in this business when you care about the people more than you care about anything else that's going on in your life in a moment. So when I have the appointment, if the appointment went well and I was able to help that client, I'll go into my Google Calendar. Before I even leave their driveway, I'm in my car and I'm doing this directly after the appointment. Because if you don't do it directly after the appointment, you're not going to do it. So do it. I don't care if I'm running an hour behind for my next appointment. What's 3 minutes? It's nothing. Or I know that Gage has an Excel and he just pops up the Excel while he's in the home and puts all the client information in there. That also works as well. But this was just easier for me, and I have my one of my team members helps me out and she puts it into an Excel for me. So I put down the name of the client, I put down their date of birth, I put down the policy reference number or the application reference number, I put down the benefit amount that I help them with, I put down the annual premium associated with the account. I put down their beneficiary information, who their beneficiary is, because it's really important that you have that information, because if someone dies and you can't get a hold of them, then maybe their phone is off. Like, you need to have their beneficiary information to be able to appropriately help them. So that's the stuff that I put in my Google Calendar. Now, if I don't help them, which I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a lot of red on my calendar. Those are people that no-showed me or I didn't get to help. Like Gage said, I'm not special. I just run more appointments than you all do. So when I don't help them, I like to write down 3 things that I could have done differently in the appointment to be able to help them. And that's not my idea. I've heard Sean say it before. He used to, on the paper lead card, because that's what they had back then, write down 3 things that he could have done differently. And you all can do that too. And call the person that brought you into this business, and immediately. Don't call them when you're home. Like, that's useless. You don't remember everything. Our memories are not good. I just want to let you all know that. Like, you're not special. Our memories aren't great. And you will forget what you did. And then you're going to call the person that brought you into this business, that you're in business with, that's been doing this longer than you. And they're going to tell you, well, you could have done X, Y, and Z. You're going to say, hey, I did X, Y, and Z. And the person's going to be like, no, you didn't. Because if you did, you would have helped them. That's the worst thing that you can do when someone calls you. You call someone to help you and you say, I did that. No, you didn't.
Amen.
But that's kind of some of the organizational stuff that I do on a regular basis to help. And, I'm very structured. I even schedule personal time in my calendar, and I color code everything. You guys can color code it however you want, but my appointments, my dial time is green because green is associated with money. So my dial time is green, and then my light green are my appointments. And then red's like bad. Didn't sell it, it's bad. Didn't help them, bad. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. It's nothing crazy. It's just a consistency.
The big thing behind it is it's intentional. And I think that so many of us approach this business aimlessly, and we want to know why it's not working for us because we're not creating the structure where a lot of us thrive in, and we're not being intentional with our week. We're not being intentional with our day. We're not being intentional with our month. So like when you looked at your calendar there, Cass, and you said that on the 15th to the 20th are run days. So like, are you preparing your month before? Are you preparing it week by week? Or how much time do you give yourself to intentionally schedule your month?
Well, month. I look at it from a month overview. Like, I know that I'm going to have to write more business on, my mom's coming into town on Sunday, so I know I'm not going to get to run on Sunday, so I'm going to try to book 20 appointments for Friday, Saturday. So knowing like what's going on in your life before it happens is a good thing. And, you know, if you have lofty goals, and someone tells you, you know, can you do this? Can you come with me on this trip? You're going to have to say no. Like, there's going to be other trips, but you're like destroying yourself and your business when you have a good rhythm going, and then you just ruin it for a weekend trip. Like, that weekend trip, I'm sorry, it's not that big of a deal. Like, whatever is going on, like someone's getting married or whatever, like, unless you're getting married, like
it ain't that important.
It's not that important. I mean, if you really want this to work, like, stop killing your momentum. Successful people cancel trips all the time, personal trips, because they have such good momentum. Like, I don't always have good momentum, but when I have it, I want to keep it going.
You capitalize on it.
Exactly. Like, you're not going to be on all the time, but when you are on, why are you going to ruin that?
Get so far ahead that you'll never go back. You push yourself and get so far ahead. But no, I think that, like, maybe a lot of people on this call were going to think that you're going to say something so magical that you're doing. But at the end of the day, you're just actually giving yourself a calendar. Like, there's 53 people on this call right now, and I guarantee you over half of them don't even have a weekly schedule, let alone a monthly schedule. So, like, if you want to be an independent contractor, if you want to be a business owner and you aren't planning your week out, you're not planning your month out, you're truthfully just failing yourself. And it's just a ticking time bomb until you get to a point where you have no money, you're financially stressed, you're worried about what's next. And it just starts by being intentional. Like, today is Thursday, right? So today is Monday, really, in the FFL world. And so if you don't know what your next 7 days look like, figure that out. Like, you got to figure that out today, not tomorrow or not tonight.
It takes 15 minutes.
That's it. And I think, like, something that I've been really trying to preach to people, Cassandra, is that instead of giving yourself these result driven goals, give yourself activity goals throughout a week, throughout a day. Like, a day, having a daily goals, you can hit your daily goals. Because I shared this on a call the other day, like, how many people on this call remember what their 2022 goals were that you set in December or January 1st? Majority you don't even know, because it was 3-4 months ago at this point in time. You wrote them down on a piece of paper that you don't even know where it's at. So it's like, quit giving ourselves these quarterly or yearly goals. Let's give ourselves daily goals, weekly goals, no more than a month goal. And so, like, if your goal is to help 20 families in a month, what does that look like? Okay, so that's 5 families a week. What does that look like? How, reverse engineering it. And if you need help, reach out to us. We can help reverse engineer it for you. But one thing that I really picked up on, Cassandra, and that you reiterated multiple times when you're explaining what you do on your weekly basis, is door knocking. Can you touch a little bit on, first, when you're new, your experience door knocking and the mental barriers that you had, and now sitting 2 years into this business, how important it is for you to door knock every single week?
Well, it's just an activity thing. Like, door knocking is just another part of activity. And if you're getting no-showed and whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, that's an opportunity for you to go door knock. And the first time I ever door knocked, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to this stranger and they're gonna destroy me. It's gonna be horrible. And honestly, over time, you just realize that, and you can really look at a phone call like this, you can look at the appointment like this, and you can look like everything like this. The in-home, they are a human being. You are a human being. They wake up the same as you. They get out of bed the same as you. They put clothes on the same as you. They go to work the same as you. They want the best for their family the same as you. You guys have a lot more in common than you think. So when you go up to somebody's door, they're just another person. And what's the worst that they're going to tell you? No. Is that going to matter 5 years from now? No. So I don't let it bother me for any more than a couple of minutes, even if that now. So that's how you have to think about it.
And I think that you look at it as an opportunity of uncomfort. And anytime you can get into a situation in business that's uncomfortable, typically that's when you take a step forward. And I remember that there being many, many homes and many, many trailers and many, many apartments where my heart was beating. I had no idea what was going to happen, but I knew at some point in time, they're looking to protect their family. So I wasn't going to be selfish enough not to try to help their family. And what I soon realized is that people are a lot nicer. What I soon realized is it gave me an opportunity to actually communicate with them longer than 10 seconds and them hanging up on me. And then I realized that Billy Badass over the phone was really nice in person. And the person that hung up on me actually gave me a piece of pie to take home to Michaela. That person that hung up on me gave me a hug and was thankful that I stopped by their house. Like all these different things that are big, bad, and scary, on the other side of your fear is a lot of reward and a lot of growth, to be honest with you. And the fact that you are a Hall of Fame producer, you door knocked every single week, like you're not too big or too little to door knock. It's an important aspect of the business. And I truthfully challenge all you guys on this call that are only doing telesales, get out in the field for a day. Get out in the field for 2 days. Go get uncomfortable. The growth that you're going to experience in that day or those 2 days is going to be tremendous for your success. And I promise you, if you go out there and you don't feel like you grew or you don't feel like it was a success, I'll cash app you $100. Like, anyone want to take that challenge? If you don't feel like you grew, if you don't feel like you took a step in the right forward, Gage will cash app you $100.
You gotta show us your activity.
For your fearness, for your uncomfortability. Like, we got 53 people on the call. Let's see who's actually going to apply that this week. So this week, today till Wednesday, you go out in the field, you door knock, and you don't feel like it made you any better, call me. I'll send you $100. I will. Mark my words. This is recorded. But I think if we seek uncomfort in this business, we're seeking growth. And looking uncomfort and fear in the eyes gets us to the other side of fear. I think that what we got to understand in this business is we got to go from a scarce mentality to an abundance mentality. And when we buy leads, we don't hope and pray and wish that they pick up the phone. We know that if we put in the work that they're going to pick up the phone and you're going to help families. It's just a mindset thing. The last thing that I would love for you to touch about, Cassandra, because a lot of people don't know, you started this business in Dallas. And that's how I met you, because we were both in Dallas. But at the time, you seen an opportunity in Houston to gobble up a bunch of mortgage leads. You didn't know anybody in Houston. Can you just touch about how it helped you grow and why did you move from Dallas to Houston for your business?
Well, I don't know. I'm just a jump off the cliff type of gal. Like, I just jump off of the cliff and then I know that I'm going to learn how to swim. And the thing is I don't know if you guys have heard this, but babies are born knowing how to swim. They know how to swim. If you put them in the water, they're gonna figure out how to swim. And the thing is like, so many things happen to us, and then we get scared, and then we don't know how to swim. Something that's naturally inherent to humans, we forget because we're scared. And I wasn't scared. I mean, I was a little, but then I just knew I would figure it out, and I'm not special, and everybody can do that. Everybody can make a plan and everybody can figure it out. And I just knew that I wanted to be 100,000% in this business. And I didn't want to be 1 foot in and 1 foot out, because it's not helping anybody. It's not helping you. It's not helping your friends. It's not helping your family. you got to take care of you. And so that's what I did, is I took care of myself and what I wanted to do in my business. And I said, I'm going to do this 100%. And I left friends that I've known for 3 years in Dallas, and I built a lot of really great relationships there. And it was hard to leave, especially I was getting to know you and Michaela a lot more. Like, we're all getting close, and I just had to do what needed to be done.
And how many months in were you when you moved?
I was about 6 months into the business, or 5 or 6 months into the business, and I moved.
And so you looked at an opportunity to get uncomfortable. You looked at an opportunity to gain direct mail mortgage protection leads, and you looked at it as an opportunity to go all in. And I think that everybody on this call has that same opportunity. Am I telling you to move? No, I'm not telling you to move. But what I am telling you to do is, when you see an opportunity that is going to help you strive forward and take your business to the next level, you can't hesitate. There's no hesitation. The people who win the biggest in this business jump right in. There's no questions asked. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to figure it out later. Like, that's the mentality that most of us need to gain or try to grow towards, is that when you look at opportunities as a chance to get ahead, instead of looking at an opportunity and asking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions about the opportunity, you've already lost. Like, when you think in this business is when you really hurt yourself. When you take activity and then figure it out while you're doing that activity, you get ahead. And it's so many people in Family First Life, some of the top people in this business looked at an opportunity and ran with it. They didn't question it. They didn't ponder if you start to use the vocabulary, if, is not going to happen. If this happens, if I can do this, you've already lost. You've truthfully lost. It's when I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do this. It's truthfully how you overcome your mental barriers. Because Cassandra had mental barriers. I had mental barriers. Cody had mental barriers. Willis had mental barriers. But we broke down those walls and got to the other side. And now we're all experiencing success, because we knew that there was this wall in front of us mentally, and we had to figure out how to get underneath it, how to get around it, or just smash right through it. And I think that if you utilize opportunities that are presented to you and you treat them the same exact way, you can get a position to where Cassandra is at, growing a team, protecting over 400 families, and truthfully getting ahead of this race of your mind telling you that you can't do this. Because everybody on this call's mind is going to tell you that you can't do this. And so when you get to that other side, when you go from that fearfulness or that scarce mentality to that abundance, I can do this mentality, it's game over. It's a wrap. But I really appreciate you coming on here, Cassandra. It means a lot. You know, me and Michaela love you, and we're better when we spend time around you. We're better when we interact with you. And if there's anything that we could ever do for you, you know, we got your back. We'll do anything that we could possibly do. We'll be the voice that you may need, whatever. But if there's anything that you would like to share with the 53 people that stayed on this call, setting up for their week, we're all back to zero. Cassandra's at zero. Cody's at, even Willis is back at zero. But you better believe he's going to set the bar high for all of us. So if there's any parting words, no, she doesn't run anything virtually. She does everything over the phone, or everything in person, I should say. Out of all your families you helped last year, all the policies you wrote, Cassandra, how many did you do over the phone? Two. So I want to make that a point. But if there's any last words that you like to share with us, words of encouragement, advice, anything, the floor is yours.
I just want to say that being inspired is a beautiful thing, but if you don't take your excited attitude and you don't take the person that is you, that is inspired right now, and actually do something with it. Don't get off the call and just go right back into dialing. If you don't have a calendar, take 15 minutes right after the call to make a schedule for yourself and text it to your business colleague, the person that brought you into this business. Say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do this week. What do you think? How can I get there? So that's just one thing that you can do immediately after the call to ensure that you get the ball rolling. That's all I will say, because it's nothing magic, because this business is not magic. It's just action. So take that action after the call, and Gage or whoever else should be getting a lot of messages after this call. Or I obviously wasn't a good guest. So don't make me out to be a bad guest. Actually take some action and get the ball rolling, and you all have a great week.
Appreciate your time, Cassandra. I really do. Guys, I don't know about you,